it will not take part in US President Donald Trump's so-called Board of Peace, calling for crisis management to remain under the United Nations. Vatican Secretary of State Pietro Parolin said the Holy See would not join the body, citing its unique status and warning that international crises should be handled primarily by the UN. The decision comes despite an invitation extended in January to Pope Leo, the first US-born pope, who has been critical of some Trump policies and has repeatedly spoken out about conditions in Gaza. Trump's Board of Peace was initially created to oversee Gaza's temporary governance under a US-backed plan and has since been expanded to address global conflicts. Several countries, including Italy and the European Union, plan to attend the board's first meeting in Washington only as observers, as concerns grow that the initiative could undermine the role of the United Nations. We are now being joined by Surinder Singh Lally, who is an international affairs expert, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us here today on NewsX World. So the Vatican has emphasized that crisis management should be led by the United Nations rather than Trump's Board of Peace. What are the strengths and limitations of the UN compared with the new platform like the Board of Peace?
Thank you, Ellie. Ellie, I don't think it would take something as pious or as religiously endowed as the Vatican to comment on the Board of Peace. I mean, what is the validity of the Board of Peace? And before I come into this conversation, yes, the UN has been very ineffective, but we ought to build the UN back. But instead, Donald Trump is building his own global order. I mean, look at the way he's appended the world order. And not only just the Congress, but this totally throws United Nations under the bus. I mean, Donald Trump for now could be the American president, but for how long? And he's expecting people to put in $1 billion only in the name of Donald Trump. So I'm not too sure if Donald Trump is bigger or America is bigger. I mean, presidents will come and go. But the damage, the body blow, the wrecking ball that she's used to do away with America's reputation across the world as a reliable country is probably taken to the lowest pit. I mean, look at the list of members that are joining the so-called Board of Peace. I mean, I'm not surprised that the European Union and so even India, we've also not reacted on it, because what's the legal sanctity of it? I mean, even if you look at the profiles of the countries, how many NATO countries or democracies are in there? And to top it all off, I mean, there's a country called Pakistan, who I might have personal differences with, a rogue nation across the world, who does not even have money to run the daily affairs, no salaries to pay, is living at the mercy of the World Bank and, such financial institutions. And they are chipping in $1 billion to become a member of this so-called Board of Peace. So I'm not too sure if this has any presence, any legal sanctity, or anything legit about it. I think the entire world is probably waiting for the Trump era to get over so that the global order can be redefined. It is only countries who are beholden to Donald Trump and probably are business partners with him. His son or his son-in-law are probably just trying to put in these $1 billion just to make him happy. Otherwise, what's the standing of this? Nothing. I mean, how many European Union countries are in there? You can do your math and there probably not be much.
And with many Western powers cautious or limiting their involvement, for example, they're only attending as observers, can the Board of Peace still play a meaningful role in Gaza's reconstruction and broader conflict resolution?
I mean, to start with, which individual is representing on the Board of Peace, which is representing the Palestinian interest? Nobody. So you are moving into a territory, creating a Board of Peace and kind of wanting to create development, but you are not taking into factor on the table the stakeholders, the residents of Palestine. So that itself ought to give you an idea. And your second question is that, a lot of people, a lot of countries are wanting to observe. Yes, as I just said in my previous comment, that a lot of countries don't want to rub Donald Trump the wrong way because, look what he did to Switzerland. I mean, I didn't like the way the Prime Minister spoke to me, so I increased the tariffs. I mean, this is not this is not a failed company of Donald Trump. It's the United States of America, one of the largest economies in the world. And, post Second World War, they've been pretty much controlling the world. And I think the European Union and the NATO countries, for being so subservient to the United States, are probably now learning the harder way. That's why they're all running in different directions, trying to create alternate models and not depend on the United States, because they have realized that this is not the United States. It's just Donald, I mean, I don't think so that America has a president, but now the president of America has a country. This is how I'd like to put it, Ellie.
And what are the potential political and diplomatic implications of the Vatican's refusal for US Vatican and the Western relations on peace diplomacy, especially given the Vatican's moral influence and global reach?
That's a brilliant question, Ali, because if you realize the kind of ideology Donald Trump is working on by demonizing, all the immigrants and trying to create a Christian white America, I mean, which is the major chunk of his mega, the geniuses who are his mega supporters. So now I think there might be a wedge even between them, because as it is, the mega was slipping out in terms of, the way Epstein file is being held. And simply because the kind of, posturing Donald Trump and probably J.D. Vance, who is standing in line to become maybe the next president, is doing, is they're trying to demonize foreigners, and the way the kind of remarks they're making about how immigrants have ruined England and Sweden and Norway. So they're trying to create a Westby white America, Christian America. And now all those people who might be rallying around Donald Trump for the the Westby white Christian America might want to think again with the non-acceptance of non-active participation of the Vatican. Ellie?
Thank you. Don't go too far, as we will be back with you very shortly. Thank you.
All right.
US envoy Steve Witkoff has reported meaningful progress in the Ukraine war talks, stating